voice can break the dark. A single spark ignites the heart. But if we turn when justice calls, the chains we forge will bind us all. When truth is silenced, when lies take hold, the cost is freedom, the soul grows cold. No one stands tall while another must fall. Freedom for one depends on freedom for all. We're mavericks of freedom, rebels in the fight, defending every voice, defending every right. For the moment we falter, the moment we stall, we lose our own freedom when we let others fall. You can't stand free while others kneel. When justice fades, it's freedom they steal. An innocent condemned, a crime unspoken, and with it the bond of liberty is broken. No tyrant rules without our consent. Oppression thrives where silence is spent. Stand for the weak, the silence is small, or freedom will crumble for us all. We're mavericks of freedom, guardians of the light, fighting for the truth, for what is just and right. For the rights of one are the rights of all. We rise or we fall by answering the call. Even those we may oppose deserve the rights we all uphold. For if we deny them what is fair, we build our own prison in despair. The fight's not easy, it never will be, but justice for one is the key to be free. We stand as mavericks, together we strive, defending the rights that keep freedom alive. We're mavericks of freedom, rebels in the fight, upholding every truth, protecting every right. When one is oppressed, we're all in the thrall. Freedom for one depends on freedom for all. So take a stand, let your courage rise. Defend the truth, don't compromise. For the soul of the world, the writing's on the wall. Freedom for one depends on freedom for all.
Greetings, Mavericks and new viewers. Tonight, direct and live from the Maverick News Network World Studios. This is Maverick News with Rick Walker.
Hello, Mavericks. Welcome back, everyone. Major storms, tornadoes in the southern U.S., and unsettled weather in many parts of North America tonight, and even here, where we had high winds today, although it's very warm here in southern Ontario and Canada. The weather is turning, and as we shift back to warmer weather, move slowly into spring, the air masses collide and the world becomes a little more unstable. And unstable is the word that is perhaps best to describe the world we're in, which is why Canada, amidst all this instability brought on by Donald J. Trump, is looking at the F-35 contract that Canada signed with Lockheed Martin. It looks like Canada is going to cancel the order. That's multi-billion dollar blunder by Mr. Trump. We'll dig into that tonight. Lots of ground to cover. Stay with me. I will be back on the other side of this, and we will begin digging into the top news stories of the day.
Greetings, brave Mavericks. Our quest for truth continues. We go beyond fake news. Together we expose propaganda. Together we pull others out of rabbit holes. We are maverick thinkers. We are all unique individuals, defenders of individual rights and freedoms, credible, trusted, grounded in reality. Maverick News, defending free speech, Donate at freedomreporters.com. Do it now. Tomorrow may be too late. Maverick News. The world is watching. Maverick News. Fighting for freedom.
So first up tonight, weather. Tornadoes in parts of the U.S. have been deadly. High winds moved east into the Mississippi Valley and deep south today. At least 28 fatalities in several states reported. Widespread damage. Mississippi Governor Tate Reeves posting on social media. Here, let me show you what he has to say. There we are. He says, I want to provide an update on the severe weather that impacted Mississippi last night. Preliminary reports indicate 3 people were injured and hospitalized in Grenada County. This number is expected to increase. Mississippi is paying for those healing. MSEMA has received reports that a cell entered the state in Issaquena County and exited in Itawamba County, causing significant damage. Damage assessments underway. As of now, 6 counties are reporting damage: Calhoun, Carroll, Grenada, Humphreys, LaFleur, and Montgomery. Grenada County was the hardest hit. Major damage reported in the Elliott and Gore Springs communities. Crews working to clear roads and remove debris in the impacted counties. If you're in Grenada County and in need of a shelter, one has been opened at the Grenada City Auditorium. More severe weather is expected, including tornadoes. And people are being urged to monitor emergency alerts and stay safe. And we have tonight as well this report from Channel 4 in Tylertown. Let's bring that up. And here it is.
Some video of Tylertown, the tornado that was captured there, and some of the damage in Kentwood. Obviously, we have some crews out, and we'll be touching base with them in just a little bit. If you're just joining us now, we've been tracking these storms, but the video on your screen is of Tylertown, Mississippi, where you see a tornado was captured on camera there, video sent to us, and then some of the damage in Kentwood. I know you've been tracking, Alexandra, storms and warnings. What are you seeing right now?
All right, Winnie, we have still our severe thunderstorm warning for spots south of Lake Pontchartrain, just to the west of New Orleans. There is a big part of this system that has been really heavy, lots of lightning, and that's now moving out over the causeway. So the severe thunderstorm warning goes up until Kenner and Metairie, and we are expecting still some heavy rain there, but clearly the really big part of this system, or this particular cell or line of storms, has been moving out over the causeway. Really heavy rain. I've been sampling some parts of this cell, and there are some indications there could be 10 inches per hour kind of rainfall rates. In fact, radar wanted to suggest 17 inches per hour with one small pocket of that storm. Lots of lightning as well. I've been sampling it near about 300 strikes or so just in the past 10 or so minutes. And we are continuing to watch this one if we progress to the northeast with its current rate of movement. We're placing this getting pretty heavy around places like Lacombe and maybe even towards Slidell. You can see the timeline here. Lacombe maybe in about 10 or 15 minutes, and then potentially on toward at least parts, maybe even western parts of Slidell, or getting toward the Slidell area by about 5:20 or so. So a lot of rain, heavy rain, a lot of lightning, gusty wind potential. And also we've had hail potential as well. Tracking that with our hail, actually there's a little bit more of a pretty big established hail core, it looks like, with this system. Almost a 1/4 inch hail showing up right now with our radar scans. Earlier we did get at least one report of hail at Kenner of 1 inch diameter potentially, so we'll see if we get more reports coming out about that. As I've been saying, we are still looking for this system to continue to the east, so tracking it over the next several hours. It's not a perfect timeline, but just to get you something so you can make some plans. This is by about 6 potentially. I think we'll still have rain a lot closer to New Orleans, still lagging behind this current location. And then this is 8 p.m. and then by 9 and 10 we should be finished with this system. Looking quickly also at what else we have as far as our watches and warnings go. We have that one severe thunderstorm warning just out to the west of New Orleans, and now, as I was saying, really the more active part of that cell is right over the causeway. And then we still have a tornado watch until 6 p.m. for our north of the lake locations into southern Mississippi, our coastal Mississippi spots included in that. And I wouldn't be surprised if at least some part of this area gets extended past 6 p.m. and the time extended out maybe to 7 or 8 for our Mississippi spots potentially. Hasn't happened yet, but it just looks likely looking at the current speed that we may see some changes there. Then eventually our tornado watch will be gone. The rain will continue to the east and northeast of us. Checking quickly on our warnings that are ongoing. Huge area of flash flood warning across Mississippi. Tornado warnings here, tornado warnings into northern Alabama, and in fact, these have been some really significant warnings with confirmed tornadoes there. Dangerous situations with these warned areas into northern Mississippi now. Checking quickly on what else we can expect past that. Here is our live camera really quickly for our New Orleans spots. What we're seeing right now as it loads, we've got the gray skies, the rain just now moving into New Orleans. Our temperatures have made it into the upper 70s, a very warm, kind of sticky, humid day. Look at these wind gusts also. 58-mile-per-hour gusts at the lakefront, 46-mile-per-hour gusts at Kenner, and this is just the windy setup that we have ahead of the storms. Tonight we're looking for the rain.
Okay, so enough of that, and I'm going to take a little break and cue up a little bit of information here so we can dig into our what is really our top story tonight, which is fallout from things that Donald Trump says. As a result, Canada, along with Portugal, looking at canceling F-35 contracts. Yeah, got to be careful what you say when you're the leader of the free world, or when you used to be the leader of the free world. I'll be right back.
You know, someone very profoundly once said many years ago that if fascism ever comes to America, it'll come in the name of liberalism.
Well, I think it's time we ask ourselves if we still know the freedoms that were intended for us by the Founding Fathers. If we lose freedom here, there's no place to escape to. This is the last stand on Earth.
The entire world is watching.
Every dictator, every crazy dictator in the world is watching. The world is watching. On TV.
The entire world is watching.
On social media.
But the entire world is watching, and yes, they are seeing what we have apparently bravely been willing to say that others are thinking.
Stand for freedom. Literally stand for freedom. Let's get this done. The entire world is watching.
We're at war with the most dangerous enemy that has ever faced mankind in his long climb from the swamp to the stars.
Maverick News. Maverick News. Maverick News.
Let me have more control of my own destiny.
The world is watching.
So yeah, just before we move on, we'll continue to monitor the weather story through the night while we're on, and as you can see, still lots of activity. That was in Villa Ridge, Missouri. That shot. Here's a still image. So tornadoes touching down. And this is another shot from Tylertown. Just bring the audio down on it so we don't get a copyright strike in case. Massive tornado touchdown there. Powerful. Okay. Yeah. All right, enough of that. We may come back to it if it's warranted. So tonight, Canada's new Prime Minister, Mark Carney, moving fast. Everything is moving fast on the political landscape right now. He yesterday canceled the carbon tax, more or less, sort of, kind of. Oh, you know, it's still on the books. I guess they're just taking it to zero, which is the way he's dealing with it without having to call Parliament back. Yeah, I guess he could. He could bring it back at any time. But I suppose it doesn't even really need to be on the books. Well, I guess it would be more difficult if it was taken off the books. You'd have to go through the budget process again and then bring it back in. But in any event, he's claiming that he got rid of the carbon tax. You can make your own assessment on that. We talked about it last night. But the other big development is that Canada is now reviewing, on the orders of Mark Carney, Defense Minister Bill Blair announcing late yesterday that Canada is reviewing their purchase, or the country's purchase, of F-35 fighter jets. This is a deal with Lockheed Martin, and Canada had a contract for 88 of those planes, each one worth about $85 million US apiece. And you can tell that, I mean, it's pretty clear this is a response to Donald Trump's unreliable behavior. That may be the best way to put it. We already have CF-18s. And Canada had to put up so many, how much money was it that we had to put up front? I don't remember, 19 billion. I have to check this. I'll try to get you the number before we sign off tonight. But it's very clear. Yeah, 16 planes Canada had already paid for, And those are sunk costs. But Canada may just let that money go and walk away from the deal, because the government, Blair, saying tonight that Canada needs planes that can operate to their full capacity without U.S.-controlled computer systems. And it's pretty clear that, yeah, we can't rely on the United States. They are an unreliable partner, not just in terms of trade, but they, with Donald Trump at the helm, it's very clear that they can't be trusted as a military partner either, a defense partner. And that was on full display over the past week when Trump ordered all U.S. intelligence to be cut off from Ukraine while they're in them, and arms shipments as well, military support, suspended. And I think it was Keith Kellogg who said that they did it because Zelensky was being too stubborn. So it was like hitting a mule upside the head with a 2x4, he said. I think it was that's his quote. Correct me if I'm wrong. I'm just doing this from memory. And as a result, we know that Russian troops had been amassing in Kursk, around Kursk, inside that Russian area where Ukraine had taken some territory that they were hoping to use as a bargaining chip in the upcoming peace negotiations. And then because Trump pulled the plug on intelligence, they were left blind, and Russian troops were able to get in behind them, some troops, and flank them. As a result, many Ukrainian soldiers were killed. And now we're getting conflicting reports about how serious that is. I'll come back to that. But the fallout from all of that, and from other things Donald Trump has been saying and doing, and the fallout from this trade war, this global trade war that Donald Trump has launched, and as part of that he has been targeting Canada, is that Canada is now looking at just saying, forget it, keep the money that we've put up front. We don't want your planes because we can't rely on you. The concern, of course, is that these planes would be entirely dependent on U.S. support for parts, for maintenance, for operational capabilities, because the guidance systems, every aspect of those planes, it's all high-tech, it's completely digital, and they rely on satellite communications for targeting, for navigation, to communicate with other planes in a theater of war. Without the U.S. communications systems, the planes would be useless. Without U.S. support, they would be useless. So if anything were to happen in the future, we could have a fleet of 88 F-35s that would be about as useful as a paperweight. So now, because of what has happened with this guy in the White House, Canada is on the verge of walking away, and we're not the only country. Portugal also has been looking at F-35s, and it looks like they're now doing the same thing Canada is doing. They're looking to Europe. The story is making real waves in certain circles, especially those who pay attention to matters all military. In fact, here's a military watcher, Preston Stewart, who produced this. We'll just run a very brief clip to give you just a sample of what some military-focused streamers are saying about this story tonight.
So just this week, both Portugal and Canada have said that they are reevaluating their plans to procure Lockheed Martin F-35s, in both cases citing concerns over U.S. foreign policy. Now, before diving into this, a couple things I want to make clear. First off, this is just talk at this point. It is not yet action. There's a big difference there. So we have to keep that in mind. Is this just a matter of these countries and maybe others in the future talking tough because they disagree with things the United States is doing? Or is this the start of a trend that could lead to something bigger that could be a pretty significant problem, all things considered? So please keep that in mind as we move through here. Starting with Portugal, they say they've been considering the F-35 to replace its aging fleet of F-16s. However, Defense Minister Nuno Melo, my apologies in the pronunciation, expressed reservations about this acquisition, attributing his concerns to recent shifts in U.S. foreign policy under President Donald Trump. Melo highlighted the unpredictable nature of the U.S. stance towards NATO and its allies, stating that such unpredictability necessitates a careful evaluation of defense procurement choices. He emphasized the importance of ally predictability in defense partnerships, suggesting that current U.S. policies could impact Portugal's decision. Again, if we're stepping back and really trying to look at this objectively, there is the possibility here that some of these countries are just not happy with policies under President Trump, and they're trying to find ways to signal that. Okay, so in this case, the F-35 fighter is widely accepted as the most capable and most advanced fifth-generation platform in the world today. However, there are other options, and it's not the craziest thing in the world that a country might decide against the F-35 in favor of something else if they think it is a better bet for their long-term national security. And one of the issues there that both of these countries cite is it possible that the United States at some point down the road, we might diverge on what we think is important, diverge on strategic priorities, and the U.S. might say, actually, we're not going to assist with this program, this F-35 program. We're not going to help with maintenance. We're not going to sell you additional parts that are needed to upkeep that fleet. That is the concern that Portugal and Canada are stating here. They say,
yeah, so it's not down the road. It's like right here, right now. In fact, I think this is much worse than it appears to be on the surface. To get even to this point publicly, it takes, this is very, very serious. Very serious. Because really, the diplomats, the world leaders, they're biting their tongues because they're so dependent on the U.S. So for this level of public disclosure to bubble to the surface, it indicates that we have a massive cracks, if not complete division already within NATO countries, or maybe one division. That's the United States is out. The main player. This is a huge problem. It's going to be a big problem for the U.S. military-industrial complex because it won't end here. I've been hearing nothing but concerns out of Europe in the last couple of weeks. No trust left since this tariff war started, and since Trump has done what he has been doing in Ukraine. So the European countries do not trust the United States at all, and Canada feels threatened. He's literally saying that he wants to annex our country. There's no trust. Why would you buy weapons from them that are completely integrated into the U.S. system? And then Trump mocks Canada, saying, you can't even defend yourselves. Yeah, well, look what's happening now. Europe's arming up, getting ready to dump unprecedented amounts of money into their militaries. Canada looking at everything as well. It's much worse than you're getting on the surface. It isn't just signaling over the tariffs. This is a loss of trust. And once that's gone, and it is, I don't know how you get it back when it's something as serious as this. At least not until there's a big change in the White House now. So this is going to cost Lockheed Martin big time money, because I believe it's a $19 billion deal up front for the initial purchase of the aircraft. But those F-35s are extremely expensive to operate. Very expensive. Something like $30,000 an hour, somewhere in that range. So over the life of those aircraft, I think it was going to be, it was like a 73, almost $74 billion that Canada needed to commit to that program. Instead of that, we're now looking at, I guess, these Gripen fighters from Saab out of Sweden. I think I have video of these. Yes, I do believe so. Here we go. Let's, no, not that video. That's not the one we want. Okay, here we go. I can show you a little bit of this. Here's some corporate footage. I'll probably just bring the audio down again. So these are, the F-35 is a 5th generation fighter, which means they're state of the art, theoretically. But I know that they also have some serious drawbacks, cost being one of them. And they are a stealth fighter. And the Gripen is a 4th generation fighter with advanced capabilities. Not stealth, but much faster. The F-35, I was looking up the stats, top speed of about Mach 1.6. The Gripen has a top speed of about Mach 2. So it's made to go faster. It's a lighter airframe. Here we go.
Recently, Portugal has been shifting its defense strategy, foregoing the anticipated acquisition of the F-35 fighter jet from the United States. This decision comes amidst growing concerns over U.S. political stability and its implications for global defense partnerships. The F-35 was initially seen as the ideal replacement for Portugal's aging F-16 fleet, as it is equipped with advanced capabilities and would bolster the nation's air defense architecture. However, several reasons prompted Portugal to reconsider its reliance on American military technology and seek alternatives within Europe. As Portugal explores European alternatives, several options are on the table. The French Dassault Rafale, the Eurofighter Typhoon, and the Saab Gripen E are all contenders that the Portuguese Air Force could pursue. There's also the emerging KN 5th generation fighter, developed by Turkey's TAI, but it remains in the developmental stage and may not meet Portugal's immediate needs. Each aircraft offers unique advantages, but the final decision will depend on various factors, including cost, capability, and geopolitical considerations. Let's take a look at the unique advantages each of these cool aircraft has to offer. The Gripen E is an impressive multi-role fighter jet.
And this is the one Canada is looking at instead.
Warfare, radar, and communication systems. The Gripen E is a formidable competitor in military aviation. The Rafale.
So, yeah, and the cost of operating that Saab fighter, much, much lower. I think it's about $6,000 an hour, if the information is correct that I was able to look up. I mean, far less. And also more versatile in many respects. You can launch them from a highway. Not so easy with an F-35. You need special facilities for them, high maintenance, but they are stealth. That being said, eventually that stealth technology will likely be cracked, and they will be more easy. Eventually the technology will catch up, and the stealth capabilities will be diminished over time. And they've already been out for a number of years. I'm not exactly sure how many. It's probably 7, 8 years, something like that. So Canada kind of coming in with their purchase, if it goes through, midway through the life cycle of these fighter jets. So there's a lot to consider, and I'm sure we'll be hearing a lot more about it. And this is why, when you're the president of the United States or any world leader, you need to choose your words carefully. You need to be careful about how you behave, how you treat people. But I don't know. America first is not translating into leadership. There's a difference. There's a me, and then there's being a leader. And that goes not just on an individual level, but also for the leaders of big organizations and countries. There are consequences for your actions. And America is going to pay a pretty heavy price. The world is paying a big price for this already, and Ukraine has already paid a significant price for Donald Trump's incompetence and bombast. I'll be right back.
Greetings, brave Mavericks. Our quest for truth continues. We go beyond fake news. Together we expose propaganda. Together we pull others out of rabbit holes. We are maverick thinkers. We are all unique individuals, defenders of individual rights and freedoms, credible, trusted, grounded in reality. Maverick News, Maverick News. Defending free speech, free speech. Donate at freedomreporters.com. Do it now. Tomorrow may be too late. Maverick News. The world is watching. Maverick News. The world is watching.
All right, let's dig into some other stuff here tonight. Oh yeah, and again, it is so hard to know what is real and what isn't these days. There's so much propaganda. With regard to what's going on in Kursk, the pro-Russian influencers, podcasters, whatever, they would have you believe that Ukraine is facing a rout, that there are few surviving soldiers, and they are being pushed out of Kursk altogether, and they're going to be slaughtered. And that may be the case. I don't know. On the other side, you have Zelensky saying that they are not encircled, as is being reported, not only by Russian media, Russian influencers, and even Donald Trump yesterday, who begged basically Putin for mercy to have mercy on the soldiers in Kursk. But I think the truth is somewhere in the middle, where a lot of soldiers have been killed, where they were flanked when Russian soldiers made their way through a pipeline, which is I think it was about 11 or 17 kilometers. They went through these pipes and got in behind the Ukrainian forces. How many Russian soldiers were back there, I don't know. Again, information very foggy. And that's par for the course when you're dealing with information coming out of a war zone. A lot of propaganda. But I was able to kind of dig in and get some information from a couple of independent and established journalists who have been covering the war over there, and I'm getting reports that the Ukrainians still are entrenched in some areas there, but I can't really get I don't know. And I don't think anybody, unless you're there or unless you have actual military intelligence, I don't think anybody really knows. It's somewhere in the middle, I think. But we will need to wait and see to get the truth on the seriousness of the situation there for those Ukrainian troops. I will say this, and this is an important note. Putin is calling those soldiers terrorists. The reason is he has never declared what they're doing in Ukraine to be a war. He still calls it a special military operation. And because of that, he's playing word games. And as a result of it not being a full-scale war, and because those soldiers are in Russian territory, he says they're terrorists. As a result, they're not going to be treated like prisoners of war when or if captured. And so if they're captured, they will not be afforded the same rights as a POW. So expect them to be tortured. That is really where that goes. And that's why Mr. Putin uses the kind of wording that he uses quite often, because he's a stickler for legalities and optics. So just so you're aware. Yeah. Just coming over here to take a little look. So Trump also tonight ordering airstrikes on the Houthis in the Red Sea. Here we go. Here's this looks like a little bit of footage I can show you. Of course, the Houthis have been trying to disrupt shipping in that area, which is a key. Here we go. So that's supposed to be footage, I guess, of jets taking off to participate in the airstrikes. Of course, it could just be stock footage, recycled. Nevertheless, pictures of Trump have been released tonight. And it's a strange, politically, what am I going to say here? They released this footage I don't know. I guess he was golfing and then went in to just watch the airstrike. He's got his red hat on. And of course, the Trump supporters online tonight saying, there's never been a greater president than the United States. He ordered these airstrikes while he was in his golf shirt and hat. He's such a great president because he can do it while he's golfing, or so they say. I don't know. Doesn't that strike you as just some people treat him like a deity or something, or a god? It's the strangest thing. Anyway, here's his actual statement that he posted on Truth Social. He says, "Today I have ordered the United States military to launch decisive and powerful military action against the Houthi terrorists in Yemen. They have waged an unrelenting campaign of piracy, violence, and terrorism against American and other ships, aircraft, and drones. Joe Biden's response was pathetically weak. So the unrestrained Houthis just kept going. It has been over a year since a U.S.-flagged commercial ship safely sailed through the Suez Canal, the Red Sea, or the Gulf of Aden. The last American warship to go through the Red Sea 4 months ago was attacked by the Houthis over a dozen times. Funded by Iran, the Houthi thugs have fired missiles at U.S. aircraft and targeted our troops and allies. These relentless assaults have cost the U.S. and world economy many billions of dollars, while at the same time putting innocent lives at risk. The Houthi attack on American vessels will not be tolerated. We will use overwhelming lethal force until we have achieved our objective. The Houthis have choked off shipping in one of the most important waterways of the world, grinding vast swaths of global commerce to a halt and attacking the core principle of freedom of navigation upon which international trade and commerce depends. Our brave warfighters are right now carrying out aerial attacks on the terrorist bases, leaders in missile defenses to protect American shipping, air, and naval assets, and to restore navigational freedom. No terrorist force will stop American commercial and naval vessels from freely sailing the waterways of the world." And then this straight-up message to the Houthis. He says, "To all Houthi terrorists, your time is up, and your attacks must stop starting today. If they don't, hell will rain down upon you like nothing you have ever seen before." To Iran, support for the Houthi terrorists must end immediately, all caps. Do not threaten the American people, their president, who has received one of the largest mandates in presidential history, or worldwide shipping lanes. If you do, beware, because America will hold you fully accountable, and we won't be nice about it. We won't be nice about it. Okay. I'm sure they won't be. It's and I'm in favor of keeping the shipping lanes open. Just the wording just strikes me as simplistic, but maybe that's why he's such an effective communicator. You have to keep your language simple to reach the most people. And I think we're getting some freezing on the internet tonight, so I do apologize for that. It's been a little wonky here today with the weather. In fact, the power went out here today. I think I may have mentioned that. And speaking of flagged ships, well, in Mississauga, which is part of the Greater Toronto Area, U.S. flags are being removed, even as we speak, from public facilities, public areas. Yeah, this is again fallout from Donald Trump and his words and actions. Mississauga removes U.S. flags from sports arenas and the pier. They're removing all American flags from several public locations at the request of many, according to Mayor Carolyn Parrish. She posted on X today, and she says the removal of U.S. flags from arenas and places along Lake Ontario, including the pier at Snug Harbor in Port Credit, is because people have been asking for it, and they're going to replace those U.S. flags with Canadian flags that are oversized. They've ordered them, and down come the American flags, and what a sad state of affairs we are in tonight. I never thought I'd ever see the day that relations between Canada and the United States would be like this. Yeah, that they would be like this. And again, I am sorry, but I think we're getting some freezing. This is an absolute tragedy. Also, the reports continue from some places, especially down in the southern U.S., where Canadians are being heckled, I guess, harassed by people, Americans, saying, you know, go home, Canadians. Get out of here. That's also followed from what the president has been doing. Not acceptable. We need to find a way to restore relations so we get along again. Yeah. So, what else do we have for you tonight? In reality, compared to what's been going on, today's a fairly slow news day, really. So why don't we do this? Why don't, given the time, I think what we'll do is we'll open up the phone lines so you guys can chime in on some of this stuff tonight. I know that other stories, I know that there's a deal afoot to keep TikTok alive and well in the United States, and there could be some sort of a deal as early as next month on that. I know that some people are predicting an election in Canada by the end of the month, if not maybe even, I think maybe even within days, looking ahead to next week. And Canada's new Prime Minister, Mark Carney, looking to visit the United Kingdom, France as well, heading to Europe amid all of this instability coming from the United States, the trade war. Canada, through the new Prime Minister, looking to reinforce and build upon both trade and security relationships with European partners. So we'll see how that goes as well. Let's get to these phones, and you can call in tonight. Here's the number to call. Okay, Mavericks, it's call-in time. Join the conversation. Call 1-647-734-4220. Then enter the PIN number 860-075-764, followed by the pound sign. Exercise your right to free speech. Call 1-647-734-4220. Then enter the PIN number 860-075-764, followed by the pound sign. Call 1-647-734-4220. Then enter the PIN number 860-075-764, followed by the pound sign. Maverick News. Call now. The world is watching and listening to you. All right, you can support the program by donating at freedomreporters.com. That's probably the easiest way. That's the way, a lot of people do that. You can also use the Rumble Rants if you want to help us pay the bills. Sure would appreciate the support. Thank you to everybody who supports the program. And if you want to send an e-transfer because you don't trust PayPal, you can do that at rw581@aol.com. Make sure you complete the security question and add the note or answer Maverick, all lowercase. The information is on the bottom of the screen right there. Donate at freedomreporters.com. or e-transfer to rw581 at AOL and add the security answer. You have to complete the security question. You can make the question anything you want, but if you make the answer Maverick, then we know what it is and we can actually complete the deposit. It goes into a business account, and CIBC requires that that step be completed. Otherwise, the e-transfers are no good. They don't work. So I leave that with you, and thank you again. I hope we've earned your support, if not for a donation to help us cover our expenses, then maybe a thumbs up and a like on especially the YouTube channels. Subscribe on the Rumble channels. We're on YouTube, Rumble tonight. We're on the one YouTube channel we're still not broadcasting on. We got hit with a 1-week ban. That was a week ago. So we should be back on the other YouTube channel within another day or two. So the hits just keep on a coming. And if you want to join the program tonight to weigh in on the conversation, you can do that. Here's the number. Put that up on the screen. Hang on. There it is. 1-647-734-4220. And when prompted, punch in the PIN number to enter the online conference with us. Go live at 86 with the PIN number 860-075-764, followed by the pound sign. Again, 1-647-734-4220 is the phone number, and then punch in that PIN number 860-075-764, followed by the pound sign. It's on the bottom of the screen, scrolling. And hopefully we get a few phone calls. So, Trump has invoked the Alien Enemies Act to deport migrants despite a court order. This announcement coming today. This is the Alien Enemies Act of 1798. It's a wartime law. It allows the president to detain or deport the natives and citizens of an enemy nation. He's using national security to do a lot of the things that he wants to do, tariffs included. That's how he's justifying these things, because he's actually in violation of trade deals, including the USMCA, the replacement for the North American Free Trade Agreement, but he doesn't care. So he's saying that there's a national emergency, a security issue because of the border and things of that nature. So that's how he's justifying the legality of his actions, tying one thing to another, but I'm not sure that it'll ultimately hold up. I think that Canada at some point will be launching actions against Trump and his administration through the World Trade Organization, looking for a ruling on whether he's violating the USMCA. So he made this announcement and claimed that the order was made to target alleged members of the Venezuelan gang Tren de Aragua. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly, which he claims has thousands and thousands of members. There's a federal judge, though, that is considering issuing a wide-reaching order to prevent the Trump administration from deporting non-citizens using that act, and the ACLU has filed a lawsuit over the deportation of Venezuelan migrants. The ACLU claims that they were falsely accused of being members of the gang. There's another interesting story tonight. I don't know if you guys have seen this or not. See if I can find this. I saw it over the last day. There's here it is here. This Canadian woman, Canadian citizen, she was detained in the United States. A very concerning case, honestly. I mean, I told you that things might get to this point where innocent people would be scooped up in these immigration raids. And indeed, it appears this may have been the case with this Canadian woman. Her name is Jasmine. Let me just look it up. Yeah, Jasmine Mooney. And I guess she made it back to Vancouver, but she was scooped up as part of these efforts to detain illegal migrants. She had a Canadian passport. She was down in the U.S. around the southern border someplace. She applied for a visa at the U.S.-Mexico border. This is back on March 3rd. And she ended up, they ended up taking her, and they put her in jail. And she was in jail for like 11 days. And her mom went public with the story. And so there was some media attention focused on her. Here, I'll show you. Do I have this up on the screen? No, let me bring it up here so you can see the headline. Yeah, so this drew some attention to it, and then the Premier of British Columbia also commented on it, and as a result, she finally was released. This is her here. And this is going to go to a commercial. Yeah. She was finally released. But what a scary experience. She was also she was on what was it? Not Shark Tank, the other one. Dragon's Den. I think it was Dragon's Den. As an entrepreneur trying to here it is here. Let me just oh, come on.
I haven't slept in a while and haven't eaten proper food in a while, so I'm just really going through the motions.
Yeah, this is CTV, by the way.
It's just been a lot, but.
And they have a full report. You can go to their website and check it out.
I do not wish.
This is her coming back and landing in Vancouver after the 11-day detention.
No one deserves to go through that. What I witnessed, yeah. I was transported 3 times. Yeah. I was transported today from Arizona all the way back to San Diego, so I haven't slept in 24 hours.
And during the whole process, did anyone tell you what was going on, when you were going to come back?
I still don't even know how I'm home. My best friend Brittany is right there, and her and my friends and my family and the media are the reason I think that I'm home. I haven't even talked to her. I haven't been able to talk to anyone. In 12 days, no one told me anything, like not once. So
never charged.
I don't even know how
with anything
I'm home right now, to be honest.
Never charged with a crime.
I think I'm like, I don't know, I'm just so, everything's so surreal right now. Like, as I'm just like processing everything. So happy to be back. There was one other Canadian, but there was women from all around the world. I think I met at least 100 women in my unit. The last leg, there was about 30 of us that I became close with. But yeah, lots of women, all different stories, all different backgrounds from around the world. But yeah.
Did they ever say why your application was denied at the border, or is that something that's still ongoing with your immigration?
It's still ongoing, but because there was issues in the past, I guess that's why. But to be honest, I really, like the whole process, I really don't completely understand. I was given no heads up of anything that was about to transpire. On the way back, I had the guards that brought me, they looked through all my paperwork and they were very confused as well. So it's just been a lot. It's just been a very, very confusing situation. I've been gone for almost 2 weeks and I have no idea what really happened. No, I'm like running on adrenaline right now for sure.
Take us back, like why you went across the border and had to come back.
I was reapplying for a work visa. I had a work visa, and then I was reapplying for another one. And because my lawyer was in San Diego, I was at that border.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you regret going across the border now? Or not?
I mean, yeah, of course. Like if I knew that was even a possibility, that could happen, I would have never in a million years gone there. Like, I'm telling you, from the second I got there to now, like, I can't even process what just happened because there was no heads up. Next thing you know, I'm taken, and for 2 weeks haven't been told anything, moved in different cells, sleeping on cement, sleeping in different jail cells. Like, it just nothing makes sense to me, and I'm still trying to process the entire situation.
You said you've worked in the U.S. before. Do you think what happened to you is because of Trump's executive orders?
I honestly, I really have no idea. There's everyone. I don't want to point fingers at anything. I don't know. But obviously, people can speculate what they want. Like I said, I have no idea what just transpired. I'm still trying to figure it all out myself.
What do you want to tell Canadians who might be, looking to apply for some other visa
Don't go where you can't come back directly back to Canada. I really, I don't know if, like, my entire experience, everyone in there was like, as soon as I would speak, they're like, whoa, wait, where are you from? I'm like, Canada. They're like, what are you doing here? I'm like, I don't know. Everyone thought I was from Russia. It was hilarious. So I'm like, but yeah, it's just, I don't know if I just got caught up in an accident or what, but here I am.
Okay, what the heck is going on? Like, seriously, what the heck is going on? That's what I want to know. This is all weird, man. Weird. Okay, we've got a caller on the line. I believe. There we go. Let's bring up our first caller tonight. Who's on the line with us? There you are.
Am I talking to you, Rick?
You are talking to me. Johnny from Toronto.
Yes.
What's up tonight?
We gotta talk about Carney. Forget about everybody else. Our country. You know, that guy's he's a globalist. What do you think he's going to EU for? They're all globalists over there. They're the ones that are ruining our lives.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I know you're a big supporter of EU, eh? Brussels there, eh? They're all good there, all good people. You got to wake up. People have to wake up.
All right. Well, thank you for that, John. Appreciate that.
See, Carney, he owns two of the biggest companies out of the top 10 in Canada.
Carney owns?
Yes.
Yeah, he personally owns? What two companies does Mr. Carney personally own?
He owns BAM, Brookfield Asset Management.
Mark Carney owns Brookfield Asset Management? Yeah. He owns it, does
he? And he owns...
single-handedly.
Brookfield Infrastructure.
Single-handedly, he owns Brookfield Management.
The guy's worth billions.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you what, John. Here's the thing. I'm really getting tired of half-truths, misleading information, crap. I love you, but that's all you watch, and that's all you send me. And so there's like a grain of truth, because, he was an executive with Brookfield Management. He doesn't own the entire company. And so what I want you to do, what I want you to do is be careful from now on about what you say, how you say it, what information you share here, because when people share crap, it's not helpful. and it's really wearing thin. And these cliches and the tropes and the prejudice and just all of the crap isn't helpful right now. And so I understand you don't have to like Mark Carney. You don't have to like Pierre Poilievre. You don't have to like anybody. But if you're going to say things here, make it factual and get your facts straight and make sure you check your sources, because you watch a lot of crap. So with that being said, I appreciate you calling in tonight, but it's really wearing thin.
He's tied in with China. You know that, right?
What the hell does that mean, John?
Infrastructure in China.
He's tied in with infrastructure.
China's the one who rigged the election.
What election did they rig, John? Everything. Donald Trump rigs a lot of things too.
He's another clown.
Yeah,
he's getting us into World War III right now.
It appears that may be the case.
Another clown. I told you, he starts a world war, I'm going to turn on him.
Okay. Well, he wouldn't want that, because your wrath reaches pretty high levels.
But China and Carney, they're tied in, and he's got a lot of. He won't reveal how much he's worth. He won't reveal it. It's in a blind trust. That's all he tells you. Like, shouldn't we know how much he's worth?
John,
no.
Okay, whatever. I just, it's just, what other, I want to have an intelligent conversation, not just, engage in smears and allegations and innuendo. If you've got something specific, if you've got some real proof of something, bring it forward. Otherwise, hold your tongue. Because it's not helpful. It just isn't.
You don't know the truth.
You don't know the truth. You don't know.
No, I don't know the truth.
No, you
don't know the truth.
You watch some video of some guy, and you think that that's the truth. You don't check your facts. You've sent me stuff over the last 2 days that it's absolutely not truthful. It's a little grain of truth wrapped around a bunch of with conspiracy crap, and you think that's truth. It's not truth, and it's not helpful. It's actually very harmful.
Poilievre's exposing him. You know that.
No, Poilievre and the conservatives, as much as I don't want a liberal government myself, what he has done is he's saying Mark Carney is sneaky, and he's raising questions. That's that's not. If he's got something, let's see it. He wants transparency.
Well, listen
let's see
to
it.
what he
And
says.
if Mark Carney has broken any rules, then let's get that on the table. But right now, he's been, they started this, they're hammering on him, and that's the way of politics. But I'm just saying that a lot, it's just whatever. Like, what if you have you got a document? Have you got some smoking gun? Have you got some proof of something tonight? It's just I'm just tired of the innuendo.
I just showed you the document.
What document?
Cancel the carbon tax without opening up the parliament. You have to vote on it. And he signed some sneaky paper. He showed it. It's just.
I talked about it.
It's blind. It's blind. Sneaky.
Okay.
Right.
All right. Well,
now,
that's fine.
You're gonna trust a guy like that?
Do you trust any politician? Do you trust Pierre Poilievre?
A judge. As soon as you lie to a judge, you're guilty.
If you're in a court of law and you swear an oath to tell the truth, then you can be held in contempt of court.
Well, he did swear the truth, and he's pulling a fast one on us.
What fast one did he pull today?
He says he canceled the carbon tax.
Well, he did. He took it to zero, so he's not going to collect it.
At
least for now. At least for now.
Do you know the carbon tax? He wants to go to net zero. The only way you're going to get to net zero is you wipe out half the people on this planet. That's the only way you're going to get to net zero.
Okay.
So, is that why? What's he doing in fucking in the EU right now? Why isn't he trying to talk to Trump about these carbon tax.
Why? So he can go. Carbon tax is our business, not Donald Trump's. So doesn't need to talk to Donald Trump about any tax that that the government here might approve or choose not to collect. We don't have to check with Donald Trump on our budget.
Sounds like you like him.
No, I'm just tired of the bullshit that I hear from you every day. I'm tired of the shit that you send me. I'm tired of the lies, the outright lies that you share.
I won't send you nothing else.
That's fine, because
you can wake up yourself. You can wake up.
Yeah, John, take your prejudice and your bigotry.
Call me when you wake up.
That's
what I got to say. When you wake up.
Yeah, when you grow a yeah, you get in there and you just want to torment me. That's why you. Why are you even,
I see corruption. I see corruption.
There may be, John. I'm just tired of you. I'm tired of the bullshit from you. I'm tired of the way you treat people. I'm tired of the hate that you spew here. I'm tired of your anti-Jew, Jew-hating, Johnny the Jew-hater bullshit. I'm tired of the way, and what really set me off is what really set me off.
Is up Trump's arse so far.
What really set me off was the way you were talking about that young lady we had on the program the other night. You just don't have any respect.
Said nothing bad about
it. Yeah,
you did.
I
didn't say nothing bad.
And I'm tired of the constant BS.
He was a warmonger. She wanted the U.S. to go fight their battles.
No, she's just trying to defend her home, John.
Yeah. She wanted the U.S. to defend her home.
Yeah. Okay.
That's what she wanted. Yes.
Yeah,
I got nothing against her. I
got nothing against you either. I just want to deal in facts and reality. And if you've got something of value to talk about,
everybody. She wants the world to gang up on Putin, and Putin is the only guy that's got the cojones. NATO has never been in a.
I thought he wanted peace. I didn't think he wanted all of Ukraine. And why don't they have a ceasefire? I thought that's all he wanted.
Putin doesn't want Ukraine. Okay?
No, so why doesn't he? So why doesn't he just agree to the ceasefire then?
I just sent you what his recommendations are. He wants a permanent ceasefire. He doesn't want a 30-day.
That's what Zelensky said, but that wasn't good enough for Trump, who then turned his back on him and turned on him. He wants a permanent. Yeah. Okay. Right. So
he talked to all his military
guys. So why doesn't he agree to the 30-day ceasefire so that they can then get to the bargaining table and talk? Because he doesn't want it. Because it's not true.
What? Why don't you just talk now?
Well, why doesn't he? You keep saying, why don't they just get together and talk? Well, there's the opportunity. All he has to do is go over and talk.
This is our deal right here. We want an election. He doesn't care if
not during a war.
He says Zelensky
wants regime change.
He wins,
he doesn't want an election. He wants regime change. He wants Zelensky gone, and he wants.
No. I sent it to you.
I know what the terms are that he wants.
He can run if he wins. He says it's
fair. He won't agree to a ceasefire. You can talk about the other stuff afterward, but you keep saying all he wants is peace, and he clearly doesn't. He's just buying time. And he's playing a word game.
Why do you hate Russia so much?
I don't hate Russia.
I think he's a way better
I know, because you're an operative. You're practically an operative. All you do is spew pro-Russian crap. You just repeat the talking points. That's what you do all the time.
Putin's never done nothing to Canada.
God.
So,
all right, well, thanks,
you
John.
say... You listen to these globalists. Oh, they're good at.
Okay, John. Thanks for the call. Everything. Have a good night. And if you want to call in and you have something constructive to say, I'm just tired of it. I'm just tired of it. Tired of it. Time for a break.
Maverick News. Fighting for freedom.
Okay, I'm back. If you want to call in, 1-647-734-4220. And that's not censorship. Johnny gets lots of free speech around here, as do a lot of other people. But there's a real world, and then there's the manufactured world that some people are trying to create for you. And some people are already deep down into that world. And it's actually part of the whole process to make you distrust your government, distrust all your institutions, distrust everything, even question your own existence, question the validity and even the existence of your own country. And spewing that information here, I'm not going to continue to allow people to use this platform to promote or lead people to content that is destructive, actual lies. Now, it's not about censorship, it's about malicious speech. It's also about taking over a platform in the way that some people have interventions at political events or speeches where they'll go in and they start shouting or cause a commotion in the middle of a Q&A session with a politician speaking, that kind of thing, to just be disruptive. And I'm just tired of it. I'm not prepared to continue to allow people to be disruptive here or exploit the platform because they want to reach you. People can come here and engage in constructive conversation, but but that's not always what we're getting here. And there are ulterior motives behind some of these calls and what goes on in the chat, frankly. And I know, so I'm just saying. Who else is on the line with us now?
This is Noella.
Noella, thank you for joining us on the program tonight. Go ahead.
Hi. I'm a little nervous because I'm not fully, I don't have full knowledge of what I'm calling about.
It's okay.
What I was wanting to ask you something on your opinion. I recently read a it called Myths of Canada, 1866 to 1931, how Canada came about. And after 1931, apparently Canada was just left wide open, and it was never really, I don't know the proper terminology to use, but it was never really set as its own country. Have you ever seen that video, or do you know anything about it? Would you be able to clarify anything on that to me?
Yeah, I've seen it.
Yeah, and what's your opinion on that?
Let me ask you this.
Okay.
What is it? What is a country?
What is a country?
Yeah. What is a nation state? Is Canada a country? And what makes a country?
The people.
Yeah, that's actually a very good answer. It is the people. A country is really just a concept. It's a construct. Anything like that, like a government, like really what is it? It's just an idea, right? So what makes it real, what takes that idea and makes it something real is whether people believe in it or not. And if people believe in it as a collective, as a community, and then they support that, then it becomes a real thing of an idea, which is it's a complex, it's a construct. It's just something that comes from our minds, really. And then we put it into action, and we set up systems that we then all support. Or we come up with laws, and we write them down on pieces of paper, and we all support that. And every day we get up and we go to work and we contribute to our communities and we create a community, which then becomes a country. And it becomes so powerful and such a real thing in time that that becomes a real thing. So what you're watching when you're watching The Myth is Canada is a sleight of hand. It's pseudo law. It's someone picking, they cherry pick little pieces of text from legal documents in the past, or because any law can be challenged. That's why when you have even a case that goes to the Supreme Court, you might get not a universal ruling from all the judges in the United States at the Supreme Court level. It might, so many judges in favor, so many opposed, but it passes. Like abortion, right? Because the law can be challenged on many different levels. But in the end, there are court rulings and there are precedents, but it's not cut and dried. It's not always black and white. So what something like The Myth is Canada is doing is they're playing a little trick on you, because these people want to tear down the government. They want to destroy it to replace it with something, whatever that is, they're not telling you, but they want it destroyed. They want to burn it all down. And so what they do, they cherry pick a little piece of information from history and they say, aha, you see, right there, that proves that Canada isn't a real country. You see, so the Constitution wasn't signed in Canada, it was signed in Britain. And so therefore it's not really lawful. Therefore, Canada isn't even a country. You shouldn't even be paying your taxes. And they go down these roads. But it's first of all, it's not the things that they say. If you go and research these things, truly research them, you'll find that even through law, it doesn't stand up to scrutiny. But at the end of the day, it doesn't even matter what they say. Do you know what matters? What matters is our institutions are working. What matters is people support it every day. When you get up and you go
whatever
to work,
you had, it must be vision. It was wherever Endeavor was.
Sorry, is who's on the line there with us?
You wanted that. Yeah, hi Rick, it's Lori. How are you doing tonight?
Good. I'll just try to wrap up really quickly.
Sure.
So what matters is we as a collective, as a community, we support the government because we all believe in it, right? They don't want you to believe in it anymore. They want you to, that's the key for them, is to convince enough people, not even the majority. They only need like maybe 20% to become really disruptive and believe so strongly that the government is illegitimate that they will rise up against it or stop supporting it. And you put that kind of that undermines the foundations of our communities, and then things can start to fall apart, which is what they want. Do you see what they're doing?
Yes.
But we have the rule of law. We are, if someone commits a crime, the first thing you do is call the police, and police show up, they attend, and they arrest the guy who commits the crime. That's because we have systems that work. We have a legal framework in place, and we have laws, and they're written down so that people know what they are. But it exists because we believe in it and we support it every day, and we have strong communities that are safe. They don't want you to believe in that. So they use pseudo law and little tricks to try and convince you otherwise. It really comes down to that.
Yeah, and pseudo law. What exactly does that mean?
It's like they'll conflate different legal concepts and systems like common law or admiralty law, and they overlay that on like codified law that we have through the Criminal Code of Canada, or they'll overlay that onto the current Constitution. And then they'll say, based on this, which is more important, or it trumps this law over here, then this isn't valid. So what they've written over here in this fake Constitution doesn't, it's not real. It's all a myth. Well, I'll tell you right now, Canada is a real country. It's recognized internationally. We have a military. We have our own currency. It's been that way for over 150 years. It's established. It's a real thing. That's what it is. And these people are destructive. They're harmful. That's why I get upset with Johnny tonight, because it's exactly those people, fueling what's in his head in ways that he's not even aware. And it's actually a coordinated, funded campaign, and it's all being done right now as part of, not entirely all of them, but it's a large part of what is driving us to become the 51st state.
Right.
It's a key component
Corruption
of that.
at its finest.
And I won't stand for it. I won't let this platform be exploited for that purpose. I've just had it up to my. It's a cancer.
Well, I know, and when Johnny first called in tonight, he stuck one into right from the first couple of words out of his mouth, and I'm like, wow, when is this going to stop? Like, can we not just seriously have a conversation and learn, and just learn as we go, and have a factual conversation? But
yes.
Anyways, yeah, absolutely.
Just
That's
one
why
other thing.
I love listening to your show.
Thank you. I view these guys as like court jesters. That's what they are. They're some key players, and what they do is they'll actually engage. They'll initiate court actions. They'll have court cases move forward just so they can go in and be disruptive and challenge the law, to just tie up the court systems, to get profile, and then every time they lose, they then turn around and say, it's because the system is corrupt. It's all rigged. But no, they didn't have a valid case to begin with. But when they lose, they say it's because they're corrupt. But I call them court jesters, because they just go in there and they try to make a mockery of the court and laugh and then say, you see, it's not even a real thing. And the trap is to do what Johnny wanted me to do tonight, which is to engage in a discussion about things that are not really grounded in reality. And
100%.
the reality is what people actually support, not this pseudo law, which is designed to pick it apart piece by piece and cast doubt on things. So you engage in debate over things that aren't really valid because it's pseudo or fake law.
Right. And talk about waking up. Exactly.
Right.
Yeah, I hear you.
That's it.
Wow. Okay. Well, Rick, I thank you kindly for taking the time to explain that to me. I do appreciate it, and I will continue watching your show. I love it, and hopefully all this nonsense will start to settle down. I know you got after somebody yesterday and now Johnny today, and I commend you for that, because your show is enjoyable and I learn a lot.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Just an old-time journalist doing my best.
You bet. Well, my husband and I love you both, so.
Thank you. And I love Johnny, too.
All right.
I do, and I love you. Thank you
I
very
know.
much. And Lori, take it away, sir.
Hey, I'm not too sure that I can follow that up with anything quite as interesting. In fact, my question may be a little bit dry, but I'm thinking about with Mr. Carney going to first France and then to the UK, and I'm thinking about what other allies, trade partners we can develop in Europe. That it sounds to me like maybe Germany is quite responsive at this point in time. I'm thinking about the Scandic nations. Just wanted to get your comment on that, and to see where you can go with that for a minute. And I have one more point I'd like to make there.
Sure. I think that's the wise thing to do. I think it's we need to do that, especially if you want to have a government here that is grounded in morality and ethics. If you're concerned about the actions that the United States is taking against human beings, even a Canadian citizen detained for 11 days, no charges laid, if that doesn't, raise a big red flag for people, I don't know what will. But these are dark times. Something's really seriously wrong in the White House. So yeah, I don't think if you want to take the easy road that you think is the easy road, it's probably a road to disaster. And just hitch your wagon and become the 51st state, because you're going to cash in on a lower tax rate. I think you're heading down a very dark path, and you'll end up on the wrong side of things in the end. So no, I think this is what we have to do. I think we also have to just cancel that F-35 contract. Because what good are those planes if you've got a defense partner that can pull the plug on them and turn them off on you if you don't do exactly what they say? Then we're not a sovereign country. We can only engage in military actions that they approve of. So no, buy those Saab jets, decouple from the U.S., reduce our dependence on them. Not that we want to, alienate them as an ally, but yeah, you got to go to Europe, and yeah, right now, absolutely, just assert or reconfirm our ties to the UK, because we're not alone.
I think we have a huge opportunity there to dovetail our military manufacturing with what is required in Europe.
Yes.
And I think we've got a winner with our light armored vehicles. I believe we are still manufacturing them in London.
We are, yes. Yeah.
Yeah, and then we have something just on the outskirts of Toronto.
Mm-hmm. Yes. So.
Yeah, last comment I had for tonight there, Rick, was I'd like to challenge some of the people in the chat to phone in that are basically disagreeing with you and put their points on the line here and explain what they're saying. We had one fellow that phoned in last night that has been kind of dominating the chat over the last couple of weeks, and he came on and spoke for a couple of minutes, and then he kind of disappeared and disappeared from the chat. So some of these people that are challenging, come on, phone up and let's talk about it.
Yeah, I'm happy to have the conversation to a point. I'll give everybody a voice, but I'm not going to let people call in night after night after night after night after night and just keep spewing crap because they've seen some video someplace. You know, it's just at a certain point, I've got to draw a line, because it's harmful.
I think you did a fine job there tonight, Rick, putting one fella in his place. Anyways, I'm pretty sure he's enjoying his $1.59 strawberries tonight and watching the Leaf game.
Yeah, well, I love Johnny, I do, but he's changed over time, over the last couple of years, as a lot of people have, and it's because of the exposure to all this nuttiness, and that's what it is. It's crazy stuff. So at a certain point, I've just got to, especially right now, there's so much at stake. Our country is literally on the line, and I don't want things to deteriorate to anything darker than they already have. We've got to nip this in the bud, and that's got to start partly here, because what we all do as individuals is important.
Well, I'm sure it is. I think that the majority of Canadians are hanging together and they're trying to do their part out there, even if it's only reading the labels in the grocery store these days. So that's another thing I'd be more than happy to have people call in and comment on is what are they doing to see if they can keep their cart American clean when they go out the checkout at the food store.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, and with the and it's not that I'm not a liberal. I'm conservative, a fiscal conservative for sure, a classical liberal. I am, socially. I'm certainly a classic liberal in that sense, if you understand what I mean.
Yep, I do exactly.
Yeah. So, and that means I believe in individual rights and freedoms and the rule of law. Those kinds of concepts, democracy, but where all of this other stuff is going, that's not about freedom. It's not about any of those concepts. It's quite the opposite. It can only lead to authoritarianism, and I know where it's coming from. I've talked about it on the program before. It's a new political ideology, and it's coming straight out of the White House, and it's in direct alignment with what is over in the Kremlin right now, and it's fourth political theory. And it's very, very, in my view, very dangerous. And, so I'll take any calls from anybody tonight. I already have. And just because I cut somebody off after they've been on for about 5 minutes doesn't mean that's censorship. That means it's time to move on.
No, I realized that. Last night, the chat was quite busy, and I just kind of disappeared into the background there. But I certainly enjoy having the opportunity, and wish you all the best, and I'll sign off. Thanks, Rick.
Right, thank you. Appreciate the call, as always. Okay, and you can call in at 1-647-734-4220, and then punch in that PIN number, 860-075-764. I'm going to run the promo again, take a little break, and maybe we'll pick up a call on the other side. Okay, Mavericks, it's call-in time. Join the conversation. Call 1-647-734-4220. Then enter the PIN number 860-075-764, followed by the pound sign. Exercise your right to free speech. Call 1-647-734-4220. Then enter the PIN number 860-075-764, followed by the pound sign. Call 1-647-734-4220. Then enter the PIN number 860-075-764, followed by the pound sign. Maverick News. Call now. The world is watching and listening to you. Let's get to our next caller. All right, who do we have on the line? Go ahead.
Well, it's your good old dragon into a Trump impersonification again.
Hello, Mr. Trump from Montreal.
What's
French
up, guys?
Donald Trump. Dragon, how are you tonight?
I'm doing great. Actually, I wanted to make a comment about, Johnny and our friends. You know, guys, there's a lot of thing going on online, and basically what you're having is rewiring your mind and your function, basically. So your cognitive is being affected, basically, by what's going on. And we got to take a moment, I think, and a step back and look into what's going on and maybe do some research a little bit more, guys. Because, we're listening to the wrong people sometimes. And Rick is pretty much trying to put you on the right direction if you take a step back and listen.
Yeah, well, it really comes down to just trying to get real again, you know?
Cool.
There was a video that somebody was asking me about the other day, too, that maybe I can comment on. I just need to get a word right here. There was a video going around, and this is just an example of the little games that they play. Somebody put out a video about Canada being placed in probate. And that's why Mark Carney was brought in, because he has because he's connected, was the governor of the Bank of England or something, and because he has all this financial background, he then is able to liquidate all the assets of Canada, which is to say that the entire country is bankrupt, and over the course of, I think the video suggested that over the course of the next month or two, all the assets of Canada would be liquidated so that we could then become the 51st state or something along those lines. But right on the face of it, Dragon, like anybody, it's easy to fool the average person because they're not lawyers. The reality is if Canada is bankrupt, if any country goes bankrupt, a country isn't placed in probate. It doesn't work that way. It's never worked that way. It just doesn't. A country that goes bankrupt, it's dealt with through treaties and settlements internationally among governments. When the Soviet Union collapsed, it essentially went bankrupt, and the country wasn't placed in probate. So the guy who made that video is, again, playing games. It's just a word game. It's pseudo law. It's a half a truth wrapped that he then wraps all this wrapped all these lies around it. And it's just,
right.
It doesn't, it's not true. It's just simply not true. But it's just designed, it's just another piece of the campaign to erode public trust and confidence in our government, in our systems, in our communities, in even the existence. To have people question the existence of the country.
I mean, we can do another example and draw probably an analogy with what happened with Greece right after the H1N1 and the recession that came up after.
Oh, can I just add one thing, just so that it's tied together? Probate. See, an estate. If an individual with private property dies, if like when I croak, and I get the X's on my eyes, and that's how you know I'm dead, because you'll see the X's, right? Then my estate, which doesn't consist of much, maybe this pen, well, it's my one personal possession. My estate is placed in probate, and then the estate is liquidated. You have an executor to the will and blah, blah, blah. So that's the way an individual estate, private property, it can be liquidated. That's a legal process within the framework of Canadian or U.S. law. But that's not the way it works for a country. Countries aren't placed in probate. So the idiot, well, he's not an idiot, he's actually brilliant. Because he's using a word that people are sort of kind of familiar with, and it confuses people. But that's why it works, because it sounds like it's got legal basis, but it doesn't. It's just right out of the gate. First thing, it's not true. It's just it's not the way any system works anywhere around the world. Countries aren't placed in probate. It's not even the right word. But how would the average person know? If you're not a lawyer or maybe an accountant, how would you know?
Yeah. Well, look, like I said, if you look at what happened with Greece in 2009, right? Yeah. They went on the brink of bankruptcy and basically fall into bankruptcy around 2010, right? And they bail out 5 years later with all the economic thing that they could come up with. I don't remember exactly what happened with them after that, but from the research I'm doing right now, the crisis officially ended in 2018 and final bailout program. So basically they're out of that bankruptcy. But yeah, I mean, Greece stayed Greece, and I mean it stood Greece all the time, even though they were bankrupt. It was not a subsidiary of any other country.
Yeah. Oh, we got another caller coming in. Oops. Here we go. Oh man, I hope there we go. Okay, whoever that is, I don't know. We've got somebody on the line. Who's there?
Hello, Rick.
Hey, who's that?
It's Antonio.
Antonio, my friend. Welcome back.
Hey, Rick. Thank you again for the opportunity. So I came in a little late. My question to you is, you say you believe in the rule of law. What exactly does that mean?
It means that, again, if I believe in legal precedent, and I believe in the community, when we have laws that we as a community make, and then these laws are established so that if there's a law against killing someone, we have a law in place for that, and I believe that law should be enforced, which is the rule of law. And we know what those laws are, and because they're codified and written down in the criminal code, people have access to that, which is why there is therefore no excuse. Like ignorance of the law is no excuse. You can't just say, well, I didn't know that I wasn't allowed to kill somebody. No, the onus is on you to make sure that you know at least what the basic laws are of your community. That's why they're written down, so that everybody has access and everybody can know, and there's a precedent. And then over time, you learn these things. As a child, when you go to school, you become educated. You know what these laws. Everybody knows. That's why you write them down, so that it's not like if you kill somebody, then somebody doesn't like that, and then there's some ambiguous idea that somebody comes up with. Well, I don't think you should have done that. Well, who says? Well, because that's against. I don't know. It's just not right. Well, let's have a court case then. We'll convene a court. Well, based on what do you then convict someone? You have to have these laws established over time, either through tradition in your tribe or your community, various communities. Like, it's been dealt with through time in a variety of ways through history, but the legal system that we have in place here has really been developed over thousands of years, not even hundreds. And so we have a system of law that's all written down, and I believe in the rule of law, in that it should be applied. And it's not perfect, but it applies to everyone in the community, and that's the rule of law. And then the leverage for that, see, police, when they go to arrest someone or effect arrest, or if someone is charged with something, or even if you sue someone, it's all based on legal precedent. The law is written, you have rulings over time that then establish what the penalties for those crimes are, so that the judges refer back to what's happened in the past, so that you get equal application of not only the law but the penalties, right? And those things are written down over time. So I believe in that. It's how you have a civil society.
I agree 100%. I agree if the law is just.
And if it isn't just, then we as a community have opportunities to change that over time. We can address that by changing legislation, putting pressure on politicians, and even, Antonio, even through the system that we have, you have something called the community standard. So as judges look at the community standard over time, rulings on or sentences that are passed dealing with different laws will sometimes be a change or be adjusted over time, because people's views on certain issues and laws will change. And one of the most...
Can I give you one example?
Sure, go ahead. Yeah.
Rick, for example, the juice was mandated at one time.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
We have, every citizen should have taken that.
I'm sorry, what's that?
The question is, the juice was mandated.
Mandated,
at one
yes.
time.
Yeah.
Ought we, as a society, take the juice because it was mandated?
I still couldn't understand your question. The words were muffled or something.
Should we have taken the juice? You know what I'm referring to?
Yes, the thing in the arm. Yeah.
Yes. Okay. If it was mandated, ought we have taken it? Should we have taken it because it was mandated and it was by government and it was the rule of law at the time?
No, because I think that the government overreached, and I think they abused, that portion of the Charter of Rights and Freedoms that allowed them to, try to force people to do it. But I'll say this too, Antonio.
Yeah.
Here's the fly in the ointment. As much as I'm saying that, I also recognize that the majority of people at the time were demanding it. You think back and think about it. There was a portion of our community, and I was one of them, you were one of them. I think the majority of the people watching this program tonight were in that community, in that camp, where we were saying, wait a minute, we've never dealt with this in this way before. This isn't right. This is not the proper application of our laws. This is not constitutional. But at the same time, the majority of people were so scared they were demanding that the government act the way that it did. They were demanding mandates because they thought they were asking to be protected. And the government most of the government responds to what people demand. And I will also say this, there was an election, and the issue at that time was freedom and the mandates. And I know that because even at that time, before I was doing this program, and I wasn't working as a journalist at the time, and I became involved with a PPC candidate here, and the whole campaign on the PPC side was freedom, and it was against those mandates. But people didn't vote for that. They voted for the Liberals, and you got the mandates. So that also is a reflection of democracy, and we have to remember that there was that element of it, right? So that complicates things even when you go to court. But yeah, I don't agree with it. Do you want to comment on that?
Yeah, so likewise, just like I see a lot of what's going on in our government, I don't agree with a lot that's going on in our government.
Yeah.
And I don't think I need to pick a side, in other words. There's not, for me, I don't see a necessity to pick a side when I'm seeing evil. And I'm not I'm not for Trump. I want a sovereign country. Let's make that clear.
Yeah.
And, but when I see it within, when it's not dealt within, there's a problem.
Mm-hmm.
That's my only point.
When you see a problem and it's not dealt with within
our own nation.
Right.
Like I'm seeing a lot of within our own nation problems.
Oh, for sure. But every country has problems, and that's why we need a democracy. And I think that's why our system ultimately is it's meant to self-correct, and it's already self-correcting to some degree. But the problem I think that we're having right now is that because of new technology, social media, artificial intelligence, foreign influence, through a lot of it through social media, and even infiltration into government in just various ways, we're getting a lot of foreign influence from various countries.
Absolutely.
And that's
absolutely,
skewing
Rick.
things
But
a lot.
at the end of the day, we have a prime minister.
Yeah.
Or we had a prime minister, and he's the one that calls the shots. So it goes.
What do you mean? What do you mean by that? What do you mean by that?
Well, whether there's influence, if they're influencing him, right, as you're saying.
Well, I don't know. I don't
does
know.
he not have the ultimate authority?
No.
If I'm or the cabinet, or well, we know what went on with the NDP and the Liberals, right?
What do you mean? You mean that they formed a coalition?
Yes, the coalition.
Okay.
Right.
All right.
So they kind of took over in that sense, where we didn't have a choice.
Well, that's not true. We have a choice, and the fact that they form a coalition, that is also an expression of the electorate, of the community. Every MP represents their riding, their constituents, and each MP has a vote. Now, through the party system, of course, they do whip their people to sort of try to get them to vote along the party lines on various issues. And yeah, they did form a coalition, but that's part of the political process in order to get things done. And it's like deal making, compromise over time, right?
Yes.
If I'll support you on your budget, if as part of your budget you give me the dental program, right? Otherwise, we're not going to support you. So it becomes a compromise. That's part of the process.
So at the end of the day, Rick, who allows the foreign influence? Who allows it? Just a question. I'm not trying to trap you in any way, but it's just a question.
In a free and democratic society, we all allow it. it's a price we pay for things like free speech, like Johnny had here tonight. That's what Johnny is engaging in unwittingly is foreign influence, because a lot of what he sends me is propagated by foreign governments. That's why I'm saying, whoa, wait a minute. Yeah, we have free speech here, but I have to limit this because I know exactly what it is. And it's not really free speech. It's malicious speech. It's foreign influence. It's influencing you. I know where it's coming from because you've sent me the source material. And I'm saying I don't want to expose people here to too much of that because that isn't really free speech. It's propaganda. It's marketing disguised as free speech. Now it's a very difficult thing to navigate. That's why in a free and open society, we're exposed to a lot of it. So Antonio, we're all allowing the foreign influence here all the time. It's just like, where do you draw the line, do you see? And so even the government, they have to balance this as well. We know that we have foreign influence among some members of parliament. We as the public don't really know how deep that goes or how serious it is because they're not giving us all the information. And there are reasons for that. What those reasons are, we don't know. It's a national security thing. I've suggested that all the U.S. influence, foreign influence up here, the government is not really talking about, because if they exposed all of the U.S. foreign influence that we're being subjected to right now, it would become an international incident and might even prompt Donald Trump to take some sort of action that would be devastating to our country. Because he could then twist it around and turn that in upside down, as he already has a lot of this stuff, where we're just trying to defend ourselves against his tariffs. So they have to be very careful. When I'm talking about the good general, Mr. Vallely, in those 2 reports that we did on that, that's absolutely direct foreign influence, but a lot of people just don't want to hear it. He was involved directly, whether he realized what he was doing or not, and I think he does, because he's a retired general who's actually working at times as a contractor and advises Donald Trump directly. And then he was directing protesters at what the government was interpreting really as maybe an attempted color revolution aimed at possibly even overthrowing the government. You see? But the government allows these things to a great degree here because other countries, like Russia, if you oppose Vladimir Putin, you're going to jail and in certain circumstances. But here, maybe not so much, or maybe worse over there. And yeah,
do you think some of our political leaders, they should be thrown in jail?
If they're guilty of crimes and you have the evidence and you take them through the process, if it's warranted?
Yes. Absolutely.
But everybody's entitled to due process, which is also why tonight what Johnny's engaging in, and honestly, even with the conservatives, I'm really I am conservative, and I'm in philosophy and ideology. But what I'm seeing going on politically right now, it's very American style politics, and there's a lot of innuendo and just double speak and half truths and just stuff to make people ask questions, or it's like if you got something to accuse somebody of, then show me the
Don't
proof,
drop the
right?
baby.
Yeah.
To be fair to Johnny, I didn't hear the conversation with
Sure,
Johnny.
that's fine.
But
And that's not even directed just at him. I'm just saying I don't like the dirty politics, the BS, sometimes even the outright lies that they propagate, and then they just let them, spin and fester. And it's character assassination is what it comes down to. And I don't think I don't like it. I just don't like it.
No, I can see why.
Yeah. Character assassination is not the same as
your
holding somebody,
program is based on
it's not
truth.
justice. What's that?
Yeah. I said your program's based on truth, so when you hear a lie, it should upset us, right?
Right.
It should cause us to ask questions or
And if there's
You
a
know,
direct
do
attack
what
on
you have to
somebody's
do.
character, then you better bring the real proof. Otherwise, it's defamation. It's slander. And that's not what I want to engage in here. And I would do the same thing for, it doesn't matter if it's a political leader or if it's you, Antonio. Well, heck, I
Right.
mean, the other night, Dragon, were they not accusing you? Are you still there, Dragon?
Yep.
Yeah, weren't they
Still
accusing
there.
you of banning somebody in the chat?
Mhm.
And it wasn't Dragon at all. But they're trying to assassinate Dragon's character. Like, I'll stand up for people for that. Like, you see? Everybody has to be entitled to due process, even Justin Trudeau.
Absolutely. And I recall, like, on your show way back, I mean, you were calling out a lot of these unjust, what I consider unjust leaders. I'm just, I recall that, Rick, and I was with you all the way with that.
Mm-hmm.
When I don't see a just system, I have a problem with it.
Sure. Yeah, I don't think that the use of the Emergencies Act was warranted.
There you go.
Although, I mean, I see why, especially now after I get more and more and more information. I see both sides. I still think it was overreach, and Justice Rouleau actually came out and said that too in his ruling. He said you could have seen it both ways, but ultimately said that it. Do you see what I'm saying? So it was like he said it was justified, but you could see it the other way, and I see both sides. But if I had been the prime minister, no, I wouldn't have used it, and I got very upset because it was too much force, and it was a huge mistake. And the biggest fallout from that is that undermined public trust in our institutions, in government itself. We're still paying the price for that. That's why it was such a huge mistake for Justin Trudeau to use it.
Well, I'm glad to hear that coming from you, Rick. And that brings me some comfort to hear at least that. You know.
Yeah.
That's it. So you have another caller on the line. I'm going to let you go. Oh, is that Dragon?
I think John from Alberta was there for a moment, I think. But he may have dropped off again. He'll call back in. I think because I wasn't saying anything to him, he thought maybe he wasn't on the line, but he was. We just hadn't spoken to him yet.
So even as a Christian,
Mm-hmm.
in Romans 13, it tells you that we ought to obey the law. There's no doubt about that.
Yeah.
But only when it's God's laws first. So that's the way, my view, the way I look at it, if God's laws are being projected, no problem. I'm with it, 100%. But when I see evil, should I comply? I don't think so.
Yeah, and if the government's
especially
engaged,
when they want to do harm to you, right?
Yeah, and if the government is engaged in, if they're applying the law improperly, or if they even pass a law that is unjust, then we have an obligation to stand up against that and change it, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, that's where we can use our voice, right?
But we do that, and the fact that we can do that shows that we do live in something of a free society, right? So, and a democracy. So it's that that process is still there, and we're going to get change over time. It all takes time, and it's never going to be perfect, and we're always going to have to struggle. We're always going to have to try to find the way forward, and the thing is, if you talk to people on one side, and hang just a sec, just let me, hey John, I know you're there, so don't hang up this time. Just hang on. If you're a progressive and your party's in power, you think the system's working great. If you're on the other side and you don't like progressive policies these days, then you're maybe not happy because you have a liberal party in power and you don't agree with their policies. But things can change. Look what happened in the States. You had the Biden progressives in, now you've got Trump. People can vote, and they can make big changes, and things can change very, very quickly. And they certainly are down there. The pendulum has swung pretty extreme over to the one side, though, or to a side. Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, which brings concern
Yeah.
on this end, because if it can happen there, it can happen here, right?
Right.
I hope not, because I haven't heard much wrong. Coming from Pierre, right? But, we heard all the right things from Trump before he got elected. Or there were little signs that he gave us, but, look what he's doing now. It's like he's turned things upside down.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. It's not right. And I don't want any part of it. I don't want any part of that.
No, I agree. I'd like to keep a sovereign nation and keep Canada, Canada.
Yes. And I hope that we can. What do you think, John? Alberta?
Well, Rimby John, Rick, my phone's going to die quick. I'll be on for like 30 seconds. Thank you so much. It's the orange orangutan calling in from Alberta. Wow.
Yeah.
That's a number 2 hit, my friend.
Yeah, well, maybe we'll close the program off with that tonight.
Well,
again.
and Rick, you've gone from Rick to Ricky to Rickster. And I looked up Google Rickster. It's a very nice term. It's loving, it's friendship, I'll be on real quick. It's been a very sad day today in Alberta. It was Pastor Arthur Pawlowski's mom's funeral. So I just want to send my best wishes to Arthur, his brother and family. It's kind of a sad day, Rick, but I just wanted to call in quick and just put that out there. So Antonio, please pray for Pastor Art's mom. She's in heaven now, and our moms, Rick, we talked the other day. You still have your mom. Moms are very, very special people.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm still fortunate. I do have my mom and my dad. Yeah.
Well, love them because when they're gone, they're gone. They're still with us in a different dimension, but love your, yeah. So anyway, guys, and Dragon, I love you, man.
Love you too, John.
Have a good night, John.
Keep cashing those transfer payment checks there, Dragon. That's a joke. That's a joke from Alberta. Anyways, love you guys, and Maverick News family. We extend our condolences to Pastor Art with his mom. So anyways, cheers, guys. Love you guys. Love worldwide.
Care.
Bye-bye.
All right. Thank you, John. And love all you guys. See you tomorrow night, 7 p.m. Eastern on the flip side. And here it is one more time from Maverick and the News Brothers. Orange Orangutan Man.
Thanks again.
Take care. For me, man.
See you tomorrow. Have a good night, everybody.
Monkey see, monkey do. Vladimir Putin's making a fool out of you. Once a deal maker, now just a shouter. Used to shake hands, now it's all about power. You turn your back on your friends and your allies too. You betrayed the spirit of the red, white, and blue. Oh, orange orangutan man, swinging through the world with a heavy hand. Tearing up treaties, slapping on tariffs, throwing tantrums like a billionaire sheriff. Dial it down, don't stop it, man, you beast, you critter. Orange orangutan man. Donald Trump 1.0 had a plan. Now Donald J. Trump 2.0's a wrecking man. Used to make deals, now you just sneer. Ruling through fear, grinning ear to ear. Canada's not for sale, Greenland ain't yours. Gaza's not a playground, quit making wars. Bluffing and puffing with the wig on tight. Acting like a boss, but you lost the fight. The art of the deal, man, that ship sunk. Now it's all about rage and a nuclear funk. Orange orangutan man, Green Man. You're fired. No, you're just bananas.
This has been a Maverick Multimedia production.